welcome back to the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased, except ours. I'm Colin.
I'm Craig.
Where's the other
I'm
guy?
Daniel.
Right. So we're going to be covering the NFL offseason, and admittedly, we haven't done this in a very long time. The last time we did an episode on the NFL was the Super Bowl against the Chiefs and Niners. So it's been well over 2 years since we've done an NFL video, and lots have happened, especially in this offseason. Lots of nonsense, lots of drama, lots of moves, which we'll get into. So, Craig, why don't you start us off on one of your main talking points today?
Well, first, I want to have a moment of silence because Fitzpatrick has retired, and he's one of the best players in the NFL, and it is a loss. The league is not going to be the same. He was unironically one of my favorite players because he played like it was backyard football. He would run for the first down. He didn't care about the next game. He didn't care if he threw his shoulder out. He was going to get you that first down.
He didn't care if he played well or not either.
That's another reason. He would keep slinging it no matter how terrible, no matter if it was some good coverage, bad coverage. He would just keep slinging it.
It feels like yesterday he threw 6 interceptions against the Chiefs in 2016.
Hey, don't forget, he was at that Bills playoff game shirtless.
Yeah, the man is a menace, a maniac, and he'll definitely be missed because he is the only player that has ever matched like Brett Favre's intensity and his carefree attitude. Everyone else has like a stick up their butt, especially Tom Brady. But he's probably the last guy who seemed like he was actually having fun and, as you said, playing backyard football.
And chewing gum while doing it.
And not wearing a mouth guard and just wearing like one strap.
Just chewing gum instead of a mouth guard.
Like I said, a moment of silence because who cares? Other people retired, but they're not as important as Fitzpatrick.
No one cares. I guess we should talk about Roethlisberger because that piece of human garbage finally retired.
Yeah, he wouldn't take no for an answer.
Yeah, he wanted to retire in the women's bathroom stall, so he did, and
like he really wouldn't take no for an answer because he had to have an awful playoff game to end his career.
Yes, and this decline began in 2020 when the Steelers were 11-0, and they just fell up. I think they finished 11-5 or 12-4. I don't remember.
I think it was like 11-5 or something.
Yeah.
They played terrible to end the season, and Roethlisberger played terrible. Even though his final stats in that playoff game against the Browns looked good, they were blown out, and he had a bunch of garbage time, yards and touchdowns. And it's weird because I don't like Roethlisberger. I think he was an underachiever his whole career. Also, I don't feel weird having him retire. It's more like, for me, a good riddance.
Oh yeah, but he was definitely like hanging on way too long.
When Eli retired and Phillip Rivers retired, I was like, it's your pieces of your childhood are gone, and they're done playing. They hung it up. But Roethlisberger, I was just like, good riddance. I'm glad you're gone.
At one point, I almost towards the end of his career, I really forgot he was in the league at some points. I don't know. I really didn't care too. He was just always there. I feel like.
I agree with Colin. I was saying good riddance because that playoff game was so bad. Like I was insulted the Steelers. Well, his last game, I was insulted the Steelers made the playoffs last year. I was like, really, them? Why couldn't they gone for the tie so we were spared of watching awful football from the Steelers once more? Yeah. But I digress. That was months ago. I just wanted to bring up Fitzpatrick.
Yes. Yeah. I guess let's just touch upon Roethlisberger. No offense to him with the touching, but let's just touch upon his career. As I said, he's a huge underachiever, and it's unexcusable that they didn't even make a Super Bowl appearance from 2014 to 2017 with that loaded roster. And part of the blame is on him, Mike Tomlin, and Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell for just being two idiots. It's inexcusable. You have 3 All-Pros at their respective position, and you don't even get past the divisional round. Granted, that was years ago, we're harping on something in the past. But looking back, it's like you could say what you want about Eli or Rivers, But no one has ever had a more complete team of those three than Roethlisberger. And that schmuck only made 3 Super Bowls, and they were all early in his career. That's all I have to say about Roethlisberger.
And he's still also one of those wins. His best game was the Super Bowl loss. The first one he has the worst.
He holds the record
rating
for
to win
lowest
Super
passer
Bowl.
rating. Yeah, he was like 9-22, barely over 100 yards, no touchdowns, 2 picks. Great performance, Roethlisberger.
Yeah. I feel like people either like looking back at his career.
We don't have to keep talking about him. I want to forget about
one more thing about Roethlisberger.
You guys brought him up.
Well, yeah, because he retired. He did retire.
We could have glanced over it. I would have forgotten again.
Are we done on him?
Yeah.
If you said you had one more thing on him.
Oh, I thought you were saying one thing and then.
No, never mind. We don't have to keep harping on him.
And one more thing, also, I will say, I've never seen a quarterback go on a public radio show and bash his teammates publicly. I've never seen that, and I probably will never see that again. So that piece of human garbage is gone. He's retired. He'll unfortunately probably make it to Canton, but whatever. That'll be a discussion for another day. But moving on, Craig, what else you have for us?
Well, I feel like there are 2 ways we could go: the lawsuits or Deshaun Watson.
Let's do the lawsuits first. That's more fun.
Okay. I wanted to cover just quickly the John Gruden one because that technically happened last season, but there really hasn't been much movement. I mean, the only update we got was, I think it was in May or June, that the NFL wanted to move it to arbitration. Well, actually, we should probably cover what happened. John Gruden was basically fired because out of all the emails from that Washington scandal, only his got suspiciously leaked, which I think any person with 2 brain cells rubbing together producing electricity would say, "Huh, that's very odd. Why would the one guy not involved in this investigation have their emails leaked? That's pretty weird." And ended up being some things that were funny, some things that were slightly racist, but they were making fun of Goodell, and people. That's my guess as to why they got leaked. Goodell wanted to get him fired for making fun of him, but he was saying those things when he wasn't employed by the NFL. This was all before he got hired by the Raiders.
Yeah, it's when he was the announcer, or he was the color analyst at ESPN for Monday Night Football. So these are at least 10 years old, 10 to, let's say, 7 years old.
Yeah, and they all stopped. I think it stopped exactly right before he was hired. So there's nothing when he was a coach that they could have him on. Because that's the thing with this lawsuit. Usually the NFL tries to bring it to arbitration, which means Goodell gets to arbitrate and the NFL will always win and they get to keep behind closed doors. But the judge ruled against their motion to dismiss, which means, the NFL says, can't say this without merit. It is without merit, so it's going to go to trial. And it's not going to be arbitrated either because he was not an employee at the time, so he doesn't follow under the NFL arbitration rules. So it's going to go to trial. Hopefully it's a mess. Hopefully it makes Goodell look bad, and I am thrilled for whenever it goes to trial. If it goes to trial,
and if I'm not mistaken, I think I read somewhere that Gruden has no intention of settling with the NFL.
People say that, but they usually settle. But I'm hoping he sticks to his guns. I hope he doesn't.
I hope he comes after them and goes for their throat. Because yes, did he say what he said when he was announcer? Was it out of line? Yes, he shouldn't have said those things.
Well, some of the things.
Some of the things. Him making fun of Goodell, that's funny. But some of the other things were inappropriate. We'll just leave it at that. But you shouldn't oust this guy because he said these things. He didn't go.
It's not illegal.
He wasn't in a Klan outfit and went to a rally and beat up a bunch of people. He didn't do anything horrible like that. He didn't beat up a woman in an elevator. He didn't do anything like that. It was all just emails.
He didn't grope 26 women.
He did not grope 26 women.
See, I'm a person who judges people by their actions, not their words. So anybody can say something mean or racist, but when it comes down to it, did he actually do anything provably racist or bad? And the answer is no. Like, he has a pretty squeaky clean record. I think everybody only has good things to say about him. Even after this happened, people still have only good things to say about him. So The fact that people are trying to portray him as this evil person now, it's like, come on, use your two brain cells. I mean, he's obviously not a bad person. People can say bad things, but when they do bad things, I feel like it's worse, which people tend to forgive more easily for some reason.
Are you segueing into Deshaun Watson now?
Well, that is a good segue, but I once also we could talk about Deshaun Watson.
Oh no, let's finish your thought about Gruden.
Oh, that was it. I was gonna because then we have Brian Flores.
Oh, let's get to Brian Flores then.
That was the other big lawsuit in the offseason where Brian Flores was big mad that he didn't get any head coaching opportunities. So he sabotaged his other head coaching interviews. Doesn't look good for his discrimination because to basically say someone's discriminated against you is very hard to prove. Like you're gonna need like text or like very obvious, traceable.
Yeah, it's like you have to admit that you're openly discriminating them.
And even then, like a sham interview, from what I've read, isn't illegal or really anything you can sue somebody over for like damages. Because I mean, I think every employer does it, so it's not like it's inherently illegal. And again, he's never going to be able to prove. Even people who were on his side are like, no, like this is almost impossible to. Because even if he somehow doesn't get it dismissed, it's probably going to go to the NFL's arbitration, which they'll probably just shut it down and say like, well, Goodell, they make Goodell judge, jury, and executioner, so it's not going to go anywhere.
Yes, and speaking of Goodell being the judge, jury, and executioner, that was the terms last year that the NFLPA reached with the NFL.
Because the players are stupid.
Yes, because the players' union is actually incredibly stupid. And that leads to the Deshaun Watson case, where beginning of 2020 offseason, when he hated being on the Texans, and at this point, I would agree. I wouldn't want to be on that mess of a team too. Honestly.
Well, Bill O'Brien was like sabotaging the team.
I mean, it was coming off of blowing a 24-0 lead in the second quarter, and you're down at halftime. Like, how's that happen? But coming off of that mess, and all of these cases of sexual assaults are coming against him. And it's not like one or two. It was 20. At the time, it was 24, I think. Now the final number is like 26. And Deshaun Watson sat out the 2021 season. He sat that out. He wasn't suspended. So when
I think the Texans, they made him sit, right?
Yeah, it was like a mutual decision for him to sit because I think from his point of view, also he definitely did not want to play for them. Even after signing that massive contract, he didn't want to play. So it was a mutual decision. He did not play the 2021 season. So then comes the 2022 offseason, where he finally waives his rights to a trade clause to the Browns, and they give him this disgusting contract where it's fully guaranteed, $230 million, fully guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
And this is all in the midst of still his sexual assault cases. So he took a big gamble for this guy who maintained his innocence, and he says, "I did not do anything. I don't harm women. I don't do anything," until the punishment comes. And initially, there were reports saying that the NFL was gunning for a year suspension, a whole year, which I am for. I believe he should have got suspended indefinitely, especially if Calvin Ridley gets suspended an entire season for gambling for his own team.
When he wasn't even playing.
When he wasn't playing, he was injured. He got a whole year. That's really messed up. Like, I know there's rules against gambling. I mean, I forget Michael Kendricks. I don't know how many games he got suspended. He had insider trading he got suspended for. Like, what are you doing?
Mm.
But he was facing a year suspension, and then in an act of remorse, I'm using air quotes here, trying to save himself, then he expressed guilt. He was like, if I did, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Please. He tried to get 12 games. Then the NFL settled for 11 games. His compromise was 12 games. He's like, suspend me for 12 games. He got 11.
and the game he comes back on is, of course, at the Texans.
At the Texans.
Yeah,
and when the suspension was announced, he doubled down on his stupid again and said, "I never did anything wrong." So if that's not a big slap in the face, I don't know what is. This wormy, disgusting guy got away with it pretty much. You got suspended 11 games. Who cares? It wasn't a year. And he gets to return back in Houston, so
And what, also would what was it, $5 million fine?
Yeah, it was such a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, with this new contract means nothing.
I mean, because I think it's more. I think the NFL is trying to establish fines going forward. So this is like the first of its kind. Because usually they just fine owners and teams. They never really fine players.
Yeah, they fine players like a couple $1,000s for wearing socks too high.
I mean, that's different. I'm talking about like when they suspend people. Usually the suspension, you just lose your game checks.
I mean, $5 million is a lot on paper, but not to him. But it's just how he went about it and how the Browns went about it. They should have just shut their face. They should have just said, we accept what the NFL says, and that's it. But they both were stupid, and they both were saying, like, oh, the Browns said, Jimmy Haslam, the owner, he's like, he's a quarterback. Well, he was saying dumb things you should not say that will anger the general public. And now the NFL, as we know, they have been proponents.
They have no integrity.
Yeah, they have been proponents of saying the NFL is female or whatever. They can't say that now because of Deshaun Watson. They lose every right of trying to pander to the female audience because you let this pervert with 26 allegations against him, and one woman is still not going to settle with him. And props to her. Keep this going as long as possible.
I just want to say too real quick, because people keep trying to defend him, saying, well, it never went to trial. He was never convicted of anything. While that is true, he got a very slimy lawyer who was probably able to argue his way out of it. Like saying, well, there's, I don't know, I didn't see the court case, or I don't know if that's public, but basically he, again, wasn't indicted because I guess a slimy lawyer got him out of it, but does not mean he is innocent either.
Yeah, especially when he, like, facing the suspension, he knew he was going to get nailed for 1 year. That's when he expressed regret and sorrow. He said he was sorry that if he did do anything, and then as soon as suspension comes out, he doubles down. Absolutely terrible. If I was the NFL, oof, I would have. I mean,
they were on the side though, essentially, because I think they were posturing. They were saying, "Oh yeah, we're going to give you this huge suspension." I guess they wanted to, look like they care, but at the same time, don't want to suspend them too long because we need this guy to play because he's supposed to sell jerseys, generate revenue, and all that stuff. Got to keep the owners happy because Goodell works for the owners. And of course, they picked the game. And remember, we were looking at the schedule. Like they might flex that game to Sunday night.
And what's so strange is 11 games. Usually the NFL does even number games and all their suspensions: 2 games, 4 games, 6 games, 8 games, 12 games, and so on.
Yeah, but
never have they done 11 games.
Yeah,
it's so bizarre. And obviously they did it. Oh, it just so happens to be that it's in the middle of the season against the Texans towards the end. Let's have him return that game. 11 games, because then he'll miss 12 weeks to have a bye week, and he'll return week 13. It's so annoying. And usually, like, the NFL being slimy doesn't bother me too much, but this was just something else. This was just so horrible. And they misplayed this about as bad as anyone. This is like watching Kyle Shanahan in the fourth quarter of a Super Bowl. Just seeing them mess up a gift that they could have easily laid the law down on him. And everyone would have been like, "Good job, NFL! You disciplined this guy." Good.
It was an easy call. Suspend him for the year.
Yes, and I don't want to hear, "Oh, he already missed another year because of it." No, he sat out, and the Texans didn't want to play him. It was a mutual decision. He wasn't suspended in 2021.
And the thing is too, why are they going to bat for this guy, right? It's not like some guy funny. Remember Ezekiel Elliott got suspended a few years ago?
Yes.
That was actually the woman completely made it up. But
is that on record?
Yeah, I think she recanted, saying that yes, I actually made up the allegations. He was innocent. Man. But see, that's the thing. It's not like a one person he said, she said. It was like one-on-one. I'm usually inclined to take the NFL player side because women could, say, "Oh, he's abusing me," and trying to get money out of him. But when it's 26, all across the country, I doubt they were coordinating to screw this guy over. It's again like who flies out constantly to get a massage, right? Like most people get a massage from the same place, or especially if you have a team masseuse. So very odd activity. And this is the guy you're going to bat for. I don't get it. Like it's very clearly predatory. Even
Goodell used the word. This is predatory behavior.
I don't know if it was. I don't know if he said it, but also
Goodell said it. He said at the owners' meeting like a month ago.
Okay, he said it.
Predatory behavior.
The judge who ruled on the initial 6-game suspension, she said it was predatory behavior. Like, everybody knows what he did was wrong, but they just don't seem to want to punish him for it because he's supposed to be the new face, one of the new face of the NFL, the next generation, as they say.
And I know for a fact that the NFL is going to gloss over this during their broadcast of Week 13 if it's Sunday night, and they'll quietly move it to Sunday night. I doubt there will be a huge announcement for that. But Mike Tirico, and I don't know if I think Chris Collinsworth is still on NBC. There's been, I guess we could talk about real quick after this to get off of this disgusting topic about some of the announcer changes. But I believe Chris Collinsworth is still on NBC, and he's going to say another tone-deaf comment like he did about Antonio Brown last year, where he said like he had some minor adversity. He said something really tone-deaf, even though there are allegations of Antonio Brown assaulting women. So he's probably going to say something like that again. And he's only going to anger more people. And it's going to be disgusting how they're going to treat Deshaun Watson's comeback. They're going to make it seem like he's the underdog, even though he put himself in this position. Anything you have to say, Daniel?
I mean, you guys basically said everything. I wonder if the NFL, remember when the domestic violence stuff was going on, the NFL tried to like cover face with like those commercials, like the no more, like they had all those players keep coming out and saying it. It's like, why are you guys showing this to the audience? We should show this to your players. They're the ones with the issues. I wonder if they're gonna do that, like a series of commercials. Like
they should honestly make Deshaun Watson's masseuse a man. Because I doubt he'll do anything with a man.
Hey, don't give him any ideas. Maybe he'll get desperate.
But let's get off of Deshaun Watson. You could. You know what, Daniel? You go. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, this all could have been easily taken care of. Just give him the year suspension, especially when the NFL, like, you know, we said of previous players, has come down harder on other players, and they've like with no remorse. And then for some reason he just gets out like that. Like, come on. It's just scummy, but enough was said on it. Let's move on
enough
from
this. Deshaun Watson. A lot of changes in the broadcast booth this year. The most changes probably ever that I remember. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are no longer on Fox. They've been moved to Monday night.
Great, so I can actually ignore them because Monday night games are notoriously terrible.
Yes, Monday night games have been horrible for the past like 15 years.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Thankfully, the Manning cast took that over.
Yeah,
that too, and also I will say, the cast since Gruden have been terrible. The announcers have been terrible. They had Joe Tessitore, who we made fun of before. He was the ultimate Deshaun Watson fan.
Oh my god! Imagine if he announces the Sunday night Deshaun Watson comes back.
The dream matchup of Joe Tessitore and Booger McFarland was just abysmal. Like, ESPN was at their low in 2019. That was a horrible, horrible broadcasting duo.
Does NBC have a Boogermobile? I don't think so.
They do not.
No, they'll have a massage mobile for when Deshaun comes back.
Yeah. But not Deshaun. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are better than whoever was doing Monday Night Football last year. They are better, and I will attest that Joe Buck has been better over the years.
But it's not better than the Manning cast.
Not better than the Manning cast, obviously. But about 10 years ago, he was horrible. He was really bad. For Fox, the number one team is Kevin Burkhardt and Greg Olson. And I thought Greg Olson was pretty good as a color commentator. He's pretty good. He's like Tony Romo, but not as obnoxious and biased.
Yeah.
Or as like super excited like a cartoon character.
Oh, Jim.
NBC is Mike Tirico and I think Chris Collinsworth. Al Michaels is on Amazon Prime.
Yeah, for Thursday.
I think he's with Kirk Herbstreit. Yeah.
Oh, that actor?
Yeah, he's with him.
So I'm confused when they got Kirk Herbstreit because he always does college. Like, I mean, I know he can do NFL, but it's like, why would he? Like, he's the college guy.
Yeah, I don't know. But big changes in the broadcast booth. It's going to be definitely weird that Fox, the number one team, is no longer Joe and Troy. And also the NFL announced that like different companies can bid on games. So it's not going to be NFC's Fox and CBS's AFC anymore. That's changed.
Oh, really?
It's whoever whatever network gets it now. So CBS could get an entire NFC team, like two NFC teams.
That's very greedy.
So gone are the days of you would know what game is on what station by what teams are playing. Like if it's an AFC team visiting an NFC team, it's going to be on CBS, or vice versa.
How greedy are they getting? Just.
I mean, that would only be fine on like some weeks, like if there are bye weeks and some more NFC teams are off. So,
or if they did
vice versa.
Or if they did it for special, if they did it for the playoffs, they could bid on which which rounds or which teams for the wild card.
I think the playoffs are still the same. I'm not too sure.
Yeah, because I thought like at the playoffs, like every network gets their own except for like the championship week.
Yeah, I'm not too sure about the playoffs, but I think they're the same. I would like to say.
I mean, I guess they're trying to make Thursday night like a bigger deal because Thursday night was also notoriously bad. They were always trying to hype it up with like the color rush. Oh, watch these players and their cool different new uniforms. Like I could not care less. Like I think you're appealing to a different audience that does not watch football.
For a while, yeah, Danny, you go.
Hear me out. Nickelodeon buys Thursday night.
Oh God.
I mean, honestly,
Slime Zone. I'd be down for it.
Young Sheldon teaching us facts and making bad jokes.
Wait, that happened?
Did you not watch the wildcard games on Nickelodeon?
Well, it was on Nickelodeon, a different channel. Like, well,
it was on Nickelodeon at CBS.
I did not watch the Nickelodeon.
Oh my God, it was horrible.
As soon as you said Young
Sheldon, they had like Nate
Burleson
and some child and Iron Eagle's son. That was like the broadcasting team.
What winners?
Young Sheldon.
But
as we said before, Thursday night struggles.
The Thursday Night Football has been always bad because for about 7 years ago, they would always have the Jags and Titans on Thursday Night Football. It was just so
Jets, Dolphins.
Yeah, it was so unbearable because they always try to make it like division games. And a lot of the times, division games are just bad, especially if they're newer teams.
The Browns, Bengals.
Yeah, like I don't want to watch the Browns and Bengals on Thursday night. I'm just not going to watch that. And same with Monday night. Monday night, the past couple years, has been really bad matchups and teams.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, like week 1 last year with the Manning cast, it was the Lions Packers. The only reason like you want to watch it is for the Manning cast.
Yeah, all the mistakes they keep making on TV, like Eli flipped off to the camera because he's like, you can blur that out. We're like, no, Eli, it's live. You stupid.
And Peyton's secretly egging him on like an older brother.
Do it. Yeah, the guy like they keep getting guests like curse and say like tons of bad things on TV.
Yeah, they ripped shots with Marshawn Lynch of Hennessy. Yeah, the Manning cast is the best thing that has happened to Monday Night Football probably since they came to ESPN.
And Eli kept bullying Peyton for his like how he ate at halftime,
or his pit sweats too. He'd make fun of him for that.
Like relentless.
Yeah, Manning cast is great.
I never knew Eli was such a savage, and he was like how like quick-witted and funny he was. But yeah, no, it definitely saved Monday Night Football.
Plus, I mean, not so much the game for Thursday night. We all do fantasy football, and I hate Thursday nights just because it makes fantasy more difficult. And I'll leave it at that. Very annoying.
Speaking of new changes, also, the Washington football team so bravely changed their name to the Washington Commanders.
That's right.
And I think, me personally, I think they should have changed it to the Pigskins. Because you could still call them the Skins, and it's Pigskins of football. I thought that was pretty good. I thought that was a good name myself.
Also, to the Red.
Hey, watch it. I know you're about to say. Better watch it.
What, the Redskins?
Hey.
I was gonna say the Pigskins made sense too because the Redskins are also one of the oldest teams, and the old term for the football was the Pigskins.
Yeah, take that racism.
Yeah, no more.
But I did think the Pigskins was a great name. That would have been so good, but they go for like a generic, like the Commanders. Like what?
I know, like the most uncreative thing you could name.
And also, their logo now is just a W.
Yeah, the Pigskins, they could have done so much with that. You could still say "Hail to the Skins" or whatever.
Also,
fans of the old Redskins would say.
And also, too, they're in terms of their team history, their historic offensive line, the Hogs.
Yeah,
that
who's that one running back they called?
John Riggins.
John Riggins.
Yeah, did they call him like a pig or something?
I don't remember.
Don't fat shame him.
No, not like that. They called him something.
Oh my god, this team is just
they're such a mismanaged disaster. The Commanders.
Well, I know you're upset too, but at least they have your favorite coach, Ron Rivera.
I don't like him at all. I think he's a bad coach. He's just there to now take a little high ground.
Yeah, you start doing wrong thing, he'll fine you.
He probably will. I don't care. That's not going to save your losing record this year. So speaking of the Commanders, their new quarterback came from the Colts, Carson Wentz. That's one of the new acquisitions. He was traded to the Commanders. And now
I'm always going to call him the Redskins. Me.
Yeah, that's fine.
You're going to get a handwritten letter from Riverboat Ron.
Yes, he's going to say why you're bad. Matt Ryan to the Colts. Marcus Mariota. Hey, he's back. He's on the Falcons. Geno Smith is starting for the Seahawks.
They chose him.
Wilson is.
Why would they choose him?
Because Drew Lock's really bad.
But so is Geno.
Russell Wilson is on the Broncos. I think you can't ditch the Mitch is the starter for the Steelers. So lots of changes. I think not Bridgewater. Jameis Winston is back for the Saints, but out is Sean Payton.
Also,
he knew his team was like
also receivers too.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill is now on the Dolphins.
Juju Smith-Schuster went to the Chiefs.
He's going to be doing TikTok dances with Jackson Mahomes now on team logos.
And maybe on some dead player logos too.
Yeah, maybe they'll fly back to Maryland and dance on Sean Taylor's grave. DeAndre Hopkins suspended 6 games. There we go. Good news.
Which I don't get how that guy was taking PEDs when his hamstring couldn't ever recover. This is from an angry fantasy owner.
But hey, Tom Brady's back. He retired for 40 days, and now he's back at the age of 45.
I did not believe that. I didn't believe that for a
second. Wait. He's 45?
Yes. And he does not look 45. He's probably taking some masking agent.
He also doesn't throw like a 45-year-old. How did his arm get stronger?
Well, we're going to talk about the NFL power ranking in a second. But I can imagine that when Tom Brady retires, what he's going to look like before he retires and after he retires is tantamount to Bilbo losing the ring. He's going to look like old Ian Holm at the end of Return of the King when he's retired. He's going to look like this decrepit 46-year-old man instead of whatever he is now.
Yeah.
He probably keep going for their 5 years to the way he plays. just thinking and dunking doesn't take much.
Well, also, whatever supplements he's taking too.
This is a friendly reminder. This is completely unrelated. This is a friendly reminder that his business partner, Alex Guerrero, has been sued twice for fraud. Just going to throw that in there.
Unrelated.
He was unrelated. He was working with Julian Edelman when Edelman got suspended for PEDs. Unrelated.
Yeah, completely unrelated.
Yeah. So the NFL released the power ranking back in August 9th by Dan Hansis. Yeah. Bills are number 1. Rams are number 2. And I think this is a little disorganized now. We forgot to mention the Super Bowl, I guess. A very small amount.
The NFL finally got their wish.
Yeah, the NFL got
an LA Super Bowl victory.
After investing billions and billions of dollars, have gotten their dream team to win the Super Bowl. And there were some bad calls in the Super Bowl, obviously. I don't know how you miss a false start. There was a false start on the final drive of the Rams when they called pass interference on Cooper Kupp on third down. I don't know how you miss a false start. That is a matter of fact penalty. There's no debate on what a false start is. It's just a guy moving before the snap. Easy.
Well,
You call that.
Wasn't it that like that offense lineman that was retiring?
Yeah, it was Whitworth. And everyone was roasting the NFL, like saying, "Yeah, they're bad calls." They did miss a call on Ramsey when his whole face mask got torn to the side, but Ramsey got away with a hold earlier in the first quarter in the red zone. It evens out. But I don't know how you call pass interference. That play should never happened because of the false start. There you go.
Well, plus two, like people always try to say, "Well, there are bad calls in the beginning of the game." You can always, correct mistakes at the beginning of the game, but when it's the end of the game, mistakes, you can't really
Super
correct
Bowl,
them anymore.
No less, where both teams are pretty physical, and now you're calling all these flags. And I guess, Craig, I think we forgot about one lawsuit actually with the Rams. How they're trying to throw that under the rug.
Oh, that actually settled it.
Oh, they settled.
The NFL is being very sleazy, and the Rams are being very sleazy. They were trying to back out of their contracts with the city of St. Louis, and the city said no, you actually owe us millions or billions of dollars, and they end up settling. I think they did get their money, but
so the NFL is going to have to win 4 more Super Bowls to pay off that debt.
I mean, probably because the Rams are in a lot of financial trouble.
Yeah,
even though they somehow cheat the salary.
Wait. Did they ever get the money to the players that they owed, like Gurley and Clay Matthews? Did they ever take care of that?
They probably did that under the table.
They did, but it shouldn't have. Like the fact that the team, usually it's a bad sign when your company is people like us, when your company's missing payments or you're not getting your paycheck on time. It's a very bad sign. Can you imagine how red flag that is for an NFL team, which should be well established and well equipped money wise?
Yes, the Rams are 100% cheating the salary cap. How you can pay these players so much money, yet they don't have to deal with the restrictions of a salary cap. It seems. How do you have Aaron Donald, big contract, Matthew Stafford, big contract, Jalen Ramsey, big contract, Cooper Kupp, big contract? How do you have all these people? Von Miller also, they traded for him. I'm pretty sure they absorbed whatever the Broncos had. Big contract. How do you have all these players and you can afford them with big, high contracts? It's not like...
It's called the signing bonus. Don't worry about it.
It's not like when the Seahawks, when they had the Legion of Boom, everyone was on rookie deals. That's how they were so dominant, and that's how they were able to go to 2 Super Bowls with paying those players so low. It was on rookie deals. This is not the case. This is just something so exploitative and something so sleazy that the Rams are doing. And they're backed by the NFL. Because the NFL has to justify their waging of creating a couple $1 billion stadium. And they're so obsessed.
$2 or $3 billion over budget.
In LA, of all cities.
So obsessed with sending teams to LA. And in 5 years' time, I predict Sean McVay is going to jump ship when this team is losing. They don't have any first-round picks. And then they're going to go back to where they were when they were in LA, and they're probably going to move out again.
No, they'll go to London since the NFL is trying to get a team there too.
Can we talk about that and how incredibly stupid that would be for any team to go to London? They would have to play their first 8 games in London and then play their next 8, or now it's 9 games away.
Was that what they're proposing?
No, but that just makes sense. Because you're not going to have an away game and a home game back-to-back for a London team. That would kill them.
Yeah, imagine you have to play, in London, go to L.A., back to London, go, play in Seattle.
And they would have to, all the way Thursday night and, Sunday night. Yeah.
And any team that goes to London will have to have a bye week after that.
Oh, except for the Colts.
Except for the Colts that one year. When they decided the Colts shouldn't have a bye week and the Jags should, even though the Jags play there every year. That made no sense.
I don't know. I don't know whether, I understand why they're trying to make football more international, but I don't know why you, putting a team is going to help. I mean, why would you put a team in London? I mean, or they're also, talking about trying to get games into Germany, which is even further from London. Imagine...
They've tried establishing leagues before, internationally. It doesn't work. And are trying to involve European countries. It just doesn't work.
I mean, there's that too, but also, to me, the biggest problem is just like the travel time. Like,
Yeah.
no matter how you cut it, I mean, those are several tens of 12-hour plane flights that you just going there and back that you're not going to get. That's like a day of traveling at least.
What?
At least intercontinentally. I mean, you're looking at what, 6 hours at most. Oh, it's still not great, but I mean, it's much more manageable. That's usually only if you go coast to coast. If you're playing in London, you have to cross the Atlantic every time.
It's just stupid if they really want an NFL team in London. They should stop. They should not add more teams. They should not do that. I think 32, you have every division is even, right? They don't have to mess it up. They already added another game for whatever dumb reason.
Yeah,
Well,
that was actually
more
going to
money.
be my next point. Like they added the 18th week, 17th game. I don't know why they wanted to. 16 was fine.
Well, besides money, which is obviously the root of the issue, but it's just like, yeah, 16 games is fine. Most players can barely play 16 games, and you add another week? Are you crazy?
That was like the big point in the collective bargaining agreement. I think they were trying to like tell the players you're getting more. Like they were basically lying to the players about their incentives just to get their extra game because they're going to basically get all the money where the players aren't going to get much more.
And speaking of which, the NFL also treats retired players so poorly. I read something the other day. Wes Welker was denied like veteran. There's a term for that they use. It was like veteran disability for the NFL, and Wes Welker was declined it. They
Did it say
don't
why?
care about their former players.
I mean, I remember I saw like what was it, Iggy Woods from the Iggy Shuffle. Like he was like looked terrible. Like no offense, but he was like in a like kind of have like a cart to walk on or whatever.
I mean, you look at like what was it? Earl Campbell was like he's like in a wheelchair now too. Like he can barely walk. Like the beatings and stuff they took.
Let's see all the concussions Wes Welker took. Like my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was denied the disability, and he sounded off on it, and rightfully so.
I guess that's just I guess that means to be American company.
Every penny needs to go to LA to support the stadium.
And it might be why, honestly, to pay off all the lawsuits and fund their god awful stadium.
Hey, number 3 is the Bucks. They're probably what happened with the Bucks so far this offseason is that their O line has been just decimated. They've faced a couple of other injuries in preseason. I think their center or their right guard retired, so that ain't looking good for them. Hey, Niners are 4th. I think they're way too high, the Niners.
Well, everybody's like on the Trey Lance hype train because all of a sudden Jimmy G was like the greatest move ever, it was the greatest trade. Now all of a sudden he's terrible and awful, and people, why is he in the league? I don't know. Very quickly, how
reality of Jimmy G is he's in the middle. He wasn't the reason why they went to the Super Bowl a couple years ago. He's also not the reason why they're so bad when
It also wasn't the reason why they lost it.
I mean, he did make a couple bad throws, but it was coaching. It all comes back to Kyle Shanahan, you loser moron. Trey Lance, he played one season of college. He sat out the other one, and he was drafted in the first round. And they're writing everything on this guy now because they restructured Jimmy G's contract. He's going to be the backup. If I was Jimmy G, I would want to get out of San Francisco. I would say, I'm not going to show up to anything. Find me. I don't care. Let me go. And they tried to trade him, but then Jimmy G got injured. And even if he got injured, I don't think anyone would be biting on that trade because they were asking a ridiculous amount for him.
Yeah.
They're asking for like first-round picks, which he's not worth. He is not worth a first-round pick.
On top of the money that would come along with him that you'd have to still pay on the back end.
Yes. He's not worth that at all. Just for a guy who can game manage, maybe occasionally he'll make a couple of good throws. He won't win you a game, but he won't lose you a game.
For the 8 games that he plays.
For the 8 to 10 games he will play before he injures his nipples and misses another 5. The Bengals are ranked 5th. And I don't know. I think they make some improvements to like their O-line because they just got absolutely bullied against the Titans, who blew that game.
I mean, the whole offense line is getting bullied like every playoff game.
Yeah, what did Burrow get sacked like 20 times?
Yeah, I mean, I wonder how many times he was just hit alone.
Yeah.
Packers are ranked 6th, but they don't have Devontae Adams anymore. And with Aaron Rodgers, the Packers are always in a good position. He's probably also the best throwing quarterback ever. His best pure thrower, most accurate quarterback ever.
Also, too, their division's weak, so they have that going for them too.
Chiefs are 7th, and they lost Tyreek Hill, obviously. So I saw a video today that I was gonna mention, and we saw this too in the championship game, where Mahomes himself struggles when there's 8 people drop back, and also in this video I was watching, it was saying that he struggles when he's not blitzed. And pretty much how you beat him is you play a high safety and you jam Travis Kelce, and he has no idea what to do.
I always find it kind of funny with these quarterbacks, like to beat them, make them throw the ball.
Like, well, also, it said with Mahomes too that he ranked in the bottom at like trying to have tight window throws, where he cannot make those tight window throws where there's like a DB 1 yard off. His throws are either wide open Travis Kelce or hitting Tyreek Hill in stride, and he breaks it.
But see, this is like why people underestimate coaching. Like that's why Andy Reid obviously belongs in the Hall of Fame. Like he's scheming all these players open, making a good quarterback much better than they would normally be.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see how he can handle it without that guy where you could just dump it off and you can break it.
And he'll throw deep, but Juju will be too busy dancing at
yeah, Juju will be on his phone while he's running a route, and then he just gets like popped. Broncos are ranked 8th, and I think they're a little too high.
Yeah, that's a little jumping the gun.
Yes, they have Russell Wilson, but as we all know, Russell Wilson is he's like a 10-game really good quarterback, and then he falls off in the second half. We saw this in 2020 and last year where everyone's saying, let Russ cook. And then when you let him cook too much, he lays an egg. He is just not that good in the second half.
Well, also, too, like, you have to give these, like, when you have a quarterback coming in a new system, you have to give it about, like, almost, like, 5-6 weeks for the offense to get, like, going sometimes. I mean, even Peyton, when he joined Denver in 2012, they were what, like 3-4?
Yeah,
and then they went on the win streak. Yeah, so like their offense had to they took time. They got to start gelling. Like so, immediately thinking they're going to be a top 10 team. They could, but also the AFC is stronger.
Their division is the toughest division in football right now.
Yeah, and the AFC is just highly competitive right now. So they very well could be a top team, but they could also end up 8-9 and miss the playoffs.
Yeah, especially again, they're in the toughest division, the tougher conference. I mean, you really have no room for error. Like those early season losses could come back to bite you at the end of the year.
Speaking of no room for error, the Los Angeles Chargers are 9th. And with their head coach, they're going to be dropping some games because he's going to be going for it on 4th down, and he'll cost them games doing that. Chargers are a very talented team, but I have no faith in them when you have a guy who wants to go for it on 4th down every single time. I forget how many times they went for it on 4th down against the Ravens, but I was with friends when we were watching that game, and that got blown out of the waters because they'd be in their own territory going for a 4th down, and they would not convert. It's like, what are you doing?
Wasn't that also the Chiefs game? I think it was at the end of the year.
Yeah,
they lost that game because he kept going for it on 4th and goal.
Yeah, he's a schmuck. He is a schmuck. The head coach. They're very talented, and everyone always touts the Chargers as being talented. But here's the thing. They have not made the playoffs yet with all this talent. Will they this year? Maybe. I don't know. I think 9 is a little too high for a team that hasn't proved anything yet with this talent.
Yeah.
The Ravens are 10th. And that might be a good spot for them because they were the most injured team last year.
Yeah, they got ravaged.
Everyone was tearing their ACLs last year.
They lost their 2 starting. They lost starting
Marcus Peters,
and the backup.
Yeah, they lost Marcus Peters to an ACL. Lamar got injured. It even says the 2021 Ravens had their season essentially wiped out by injury bug attack that reached biblical levels.
And again, it's like all in the ACL for some reason.
And the Ravens are a good team. Now, whether they could move past and be a great team with their passing. I don't know, but they are a very solid team. I'll give them that. I think 10th is a good spot.
They were in playoff contention, I think, until like the last. I think they lost like their last 4 games.
I think they were 8-3 at one point.
Yeah, so they were up there, even with all their injuries. They could finally caught up with them at the end.
Yeah, I mean, but that it was good coaching on Harbaugh to keep them in it, for as much as they could. But he's a very good coach, so though 10, I think 10's a good number for them.
Raiders are 11th, and I think that the Raiders are the same team every year where they start off hot the first half, and then November and December is just disastrous for them. And now they got Josh McDaniels, who last time he was a coach, he was absolutely terrible. He was a bad head coach.
Well, he can't go 8-8 anymore.
Yeah.
Although I am interested because I think of all the head coaching hires, I think McDaniels is probably the most interesting because he does have actually head coaching experience, and he was supposed to be Belichick's heir, but he left. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen because everyone else is like some offensive coordinator who wants to be the guy. He's like some quarterback whisperer.
He's a good. Terrible. McDaniels is a very good coordinator. I'm not trying to. He just wasn't a good head coach.
No,
granted, the team he has now, it was better than we had in Denver.
Oh, I'm just saying, like I think he's the most interesting, like out of all the head coaching hires.
I mean, I think he falls more into that like Wade Phillips kind of category where they should just stay coordinators. Sometimes you don't need to.
I guess we'll see with this, like if he flames out again.
Look at Dick LeBeau, made a whole career off of it.
Well, that's ranked 12th, and now they got Matt Ryan, and that's a good spot for them. They don't deserve to be any higher.
Yeah, we'll see.
Let's see if Paris Campbell, the All-American practice hero, can play a full season before he gets injured from peeing.
They also got a new defensive coordinator. They got new.
I don't like the coordinator because the cover 3 is how teams like the Chiefs eat that up, and any kind of like the Bucks, if they ever play them, let's say in the Super Bowl, which probably won't happen, they will get eaten alive if they play that. Because cover 3 is really bad against short passes. And this guy, Gus Bradley, refuses to change his philosophy. Yes, he had that philosophy in Seattle. He also had 3 All-Pros in the secondary and a very great defensive line and very good linebackers.
Yeah, that to me is always just bad coaching. Like coaches who can't adapt and they have to run their system and they will, force their system regardless of the players that are there. That to me is just bad coaching. I don't care how successful you ever get. That's just bad coaching. You're lucky into success.
I just find it funny the Colts somehow got a guy that blitzes less. How's that possible?
Yeah, then who is that schmuck on the Bears now?
Eberflus.
Yeah, Eberflus. They got Stephon Gilmore, which we all agree was a good pickup.
And they got Unique Ngakoue.
Yeah, so Ballard is attempting to actually do something in free agency. This is the most active he's ever been.
They still have your Pro Bowl corner, Kenny Moore.
Kenny Moore, who got absolutely shredded upon against the Raiders and Jags. Moving on. The Saints are ranked 13th. I don't know how they're going to be, honestly. They have Dennis Allen, who's a head coach again.
Well, with Jameis last year, when he was healthy, they were in a very good position. He just got hurt.
But they also had Sean Payton, too.
I mean, they still have like the same coaching staff for the most part.
Yeah.
But that was also the case in 2012. How much of an impact Sean Payton had on that team. Because when he was suspended the whole year, Saints looked bad.
No, I mean, I agree. I'm just saying, like, still the same coaching staff, so who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
They're a toss-up.
Dallas is ranked 14th, which I'm actually shocked. They always love to sneak Dallas in the top 10.
Yeah, Dallas every year. Dallas is like the ultimate. I don't know. My words aren't good right now. Yeah, the ultimate pretenders, where they'll beat up on like the Giants and the Redskins, and like oh god, we scored 40-0 against the Redskins. Oh my god, we're going to the Super Bowl, and they'll play like a good team and get like smacked.
Yeah.
It's every year.
Or Dak Prescott has to play a good defense like the Niners.
Or Dak Prescott will run up the middle with like less than 10 seconds left, try to spike in, run out of time.
Yeah. Or he actually has to make a throw that matters, not in garbage time.
So they don't have Amari Cooper anymore. Dallas will be what they always are, as we said. They're going to be.
They'll probably win the division.
They're going to be beating up the bad teams, but losing to the good teams.
I mean, who's the only real threat in their division? The Eagles.
And they have Trevon Diggs, who I remember reading this. He gave up over 1,000 yards in coverage last year.
Yeah, people keep thinking he's a good corner because he gets a lot of interceptions, but he gets a lot of interceptions because he's always getting roasted, so everyone tries to throw the ball at him.
Very much like a Marcus Peters, but at least Marcus Peters is better, where he's like, he will go for the interception even if it burns him. He'll always try to go for the pick, which on paper is a good idea, but not when you're giving up like a 70-yard touchdown because you were too aggressive.
Like he's not good. Like I don't know what people act like he's this top player.
Well, he's a corner, right?
Yeah.
Someone like that, like as a coach, you might consider trying to like move them to safety. That sounds like a ball hawking safety, like where he doesn't have to stick someone, he can free roam like an Ed Reed. Not saying he has that talent or potential, but that mindset seems better almost for like a free safety.
Well, do you think that Mike McCarthy thinks about stuff like that?
I never said good coaching.
I know.
I just said that's a coach.
The Eagles are 15th, and Jalen Hurts.
Patriots.
We'll get to them. Jalen Hurts is not a good quarterback. I don't care how many people try to say we got AJ Brown. Hey, Devontae Smith too. Yeah, year 2. He's just not good. How unprepared the Eagles were and how bad they were so exposed in the Tampa game. Where they were another team where they beat up on bad teams last year, and then they
even lost to the Giants.
Team. Yeah, they lost to the what was that? It was like 15. What was the score of that game?
I don't remember the score, but I remember
he threw like
watching
Reds.
Yeah, he was completing less than half his passes that game. I was like, oh my god, dude, it's supposed to be a free W. Like, how are you losing that bad? Like, and he's not like, it was really pathetic, and like that to me is like.
I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm not convinced by Jalen Hurts. I think a lot of the Eagles fans are delusional. They think he's like the really good, but that playoff game, boy, that showed how much of a fraud that team was.
I mean, to their credit, like in the sense of like their quarterback situations have never been great. So, it's like the Jets. Anytime someone has they come into the draft like a high pick, they just get overly excited about it.
Speaking of the Jets, they're next. No, I'm kidding. Really? I'm kidding. The Titans are 16th. They have Robert Woods. Their Julio Jones experiment did not work out at all. And the Titans are in a weird spot because they drafted Ryan Tannehill's successor. And Tannehill's like another one where he's older. I think he's turning 34 this year. Definitely his best days are behind him. 2019, Tannehill was really good. He came in for a bad Mariota, and he led the league in like passer rating, I believe. But you go.
I was gonna say him and Jimmy G are like the epitome of like game managers. Like I mean, you saw like last year in the playoffs against the Bengals, he was easily the worst part.
He cost him that game.
Yeah. 2 bad interceptions early and late in the game. I said earlier, like I know that he helped get them to this point, but he would be almost the thing that would hold them back from getting higher or even reaching the Super Bowl. Because I would take him over Jimmy G because maybe he's not as injury prone and he seems to make more plays. But they're game managers; they really can't go that much higher. He's good on play action. He might have a 300-yard game here and there. He can run, but when they go up against like the other tough teams and they kind of have to make the tougher or like elite throws, they shy away from it usually more than not, or that's where they'll get exposed.
It's good to know that Derrick Henry is back for them, and he was leading the league in rushing before he was injured.
He was still leading it like a few weeks after.
In the top 10. He missed the second half, and he was in the top 10 of rushing yards.
Which I was also going to say, I'm shocked that the Titans are ranked at this spot and not ranked a little bit higher because
Derrick Henry.
They managed to get the first spot in the AFC without Derrick Henry.
It's a bit disrespectful.
So I'm like, the fact that you're put the Chargers ahead of them, who didn't make the playoffs, the Raiders, the Eagles, the Cowboys, like the fact that the Titans did that in a tougher conference without the arguably the best running back in the game, him or Taylor,
and their best player.
And when they were clicking too early in the season, they destroyed the Chiefs. Like they like took them out in an alleyway and stabbed them.
And they
they Deshaun Watson them.
Yeah.
In a massage parlor.
Number 17 is the infamous team that collapses in the second half is the Arizona Cardinals. They have an extension for Kyler Murray, but they had that clause where you had to do independent study, which was widely scrutinized.
Widely embarrassing.
But what does that say about Murray, though, that they have to include that, right? It makes him look like a schmuck. Where he's like, he doesn't study, he doesn't look at film. And honestly, in those games, in December, it looked like that. It looked like he had no idea what was going on. He looked confused.
Yeah. I think also, too, their coaching is... I mean, both of them just, like, collapsed.
And he played absolutely terrible against the Rams. Yeah. You could say it was the future Super Bowl champs, whatever. But he took himself out of that game. He didn't want to play anymore.
Boneheaded pick six.
Yeah, that too. But he gave up on them. And you don't want that kind of guy who will just quit on the team when things aren't going his way. You don't want that guy.
And he's the quarterback. Like, say like a receiver quits, like, well, he's the other guys to throw to. I mean, if the quarterback quits, like, well, then the offense can't function.
Yeah, you don't pull a Vontae Davis and quit at halftime, right?
Yeah. Well, he quit permanently. He retired. Patriots are 18th, and
that's very disrespectful.
What feels really odd is, they actually made the playoffs, whatever. But what feels really odd is that there seems to be like hit pieces out against the Patriots about how terrible their camp is. And everyone's saying like, oh, they look so bad at camp. Is this a concern? And it seems like they're really trying to like undermine Belichick, or maybe they are that bad. I don't know. But it seems like the NFL media is really going after the Patriots for whatever reason. And I'm not a Patriots fan. I could care less.
I mean, I just feel like you've got Belichick, the greatest coach, arguably ever. I don't think you could ever... I don't think he's ever lost a step. I mean, I don't know why you'd ever count him out. Like, unless I'd rather be proven wrong than count him out.
Are they saying the players look bad?
They said like Mac Jones looks bad. The offense is not doing anything. They look like anemic. They look bad. There's a bunch of like articles about that.
I mean, even if they do look bad, say opening week 1, I can guarantee you Belichick will fix it.
And even with Brady, every season they'd always start off, especially the Patriots, they always start off a little bad, and then we'd always hear this conversation where, has Tom lost a step? Have they lost their magic? And then they win like a bunch of games in a row, and they go undefeated in December, and they end up winning the Super Bowl. It's like the same talking pieces every year about this stuff, and I'm sick of it until I'm proven wrong. Just shut up.
And they made the playoffs last year. Like that's what I mean. I don't know how the Chargers are ranked ahead, like of these teams. They haven't proven anything.
One team has an absolute moron as the head coach, and the other one is the greatest coach of all time. It's not comparable. Number 19. We're just gonna finish the list because it's almost done. Number 19 is the Dolphins, and we already touched upon them before. I don't believe in Tua. He's very good at short passes, but he leaves a lot to be desired with the deep passes.
Who?
Tua Tagovailoa as Scott Hansen.
Okay, good.
Cue the clip of Scott Hansen removing an article of clothing after every time you say that. He absolutely loves saying that in a red zone.
I feel like everyone does that. Like everyone has to say his full name. I don't know why.
I don't want to. It's too many syllables.
It's not like there's not like 7 Tuas in the league.
Yes, they have Tyreek Hill, and I would imagine that would make their offense look slightly better. But I remember, Dana, we saw the Super Bowl with the Chiefs and Bucks together. I remember you said Tyreek Hill's not a good receiver because he's only really good at running posts and he's really good at running deep routes. But when he has to make like those contested catches, he can't really.
He disappears. Like the different. He's a big play guy. He's a Deshaun Jackson. style. Where that's why he fits well with Mahomes is because Mahomes, like we were talking about before, is when he doesn't do good when there's actual coverage. He does good when he can break the pocket because then it becomes backyard football. There's no coverage. So Tyreek Hill. If you see a lot of his plays, it's like 75. He's like a 75-yard guy or nothing. He hits a post when the play breaks down, or he drags across when Mahomes scrambles, and he's wide open. I don't does anyone recall him ever making like a tough one-handed catch in traffic or taking a huge hit, really?
That's what I remember. I don't watch the Chiefs that much.
But
but it was evident in the Super Bowl where he couldn't get separation because they're pretty much playing a guy under him and over him, and he got shut down in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm. And Tua doesn't seem to show any, he hasn't shown anywhere he does like that scrambling, like that backyard style. He seems to just be like a check down warrior. He can't like, it's weird. He kind of reminds me of Chad Pennington minus the actual shoulder injury. He just can't throw deep. I don't know what his problem is.
At least Pennington had an excuse why he can't throw deep because he tore his shoulder like twice.
Yeah, like Drew Brees, they injure, their injuries to limit their stuff, but like he just, I don't know whatever. Scott Hansen seems to believe in him, so I'll take his word for it.
I will say, I think he might take a step forward, more so because they want to have a run-heavy attack, so he won't look as bad because you won't be throwing it as much.
Yeah, probably like Tannehill, where you have the play-action easy matchups, where everyone's coming in for the running back.
Do you remember when Tua came in and his first start and like won the game, and he only threw? Everyone was making a big deal, but he only threw like 7 passes for like under 100 yards.
Yeah, I think one of the wins he got, like his first few wins, like he left the game early and Fitzpatrick closed it out, and he still got he was like, "Oh my god, Tua won another game." It's like he barely played that game.
Yeah, who was it? The Raiders game where
he got tackled with face mask.
Yeah, and he still threw 20 yards.
Fitzmagic, baby. I miss him.
Yeah, so Tua will probably play better, but it's just like I don't trust him. I really don't. I don't hate him. I don't go out of my day I wake up praying that he's like something horrible happens to him. I just don't trust him.
He's a quarterback, just business.
I think only Scott Hansen believes in Tua.
Well, so he can keep saying his name.
The Vikings are number 20.
That is surprising. I mean, I'm not a Vikings fan or anything, but like to put them at 20, like you're telling me they're worse than the Dolphins. I know the Vikings have always been disappointing. They have all this talent that can't seem to win, but they have, I think, a legitimate shot at taking their own division. So I don't know why they're so low.
They have the best shot out of everybody in that division.
Well, I mean, the other two are like
besides the Packers.
Well, I mean, because the Packers have been the perennial winners. I mean, this is definitely like a year to take it from them.
The problem is the Vikings are they're consistently inconsistent. It amazes me how they can, they'll go into an OT game with the Packers and lose like 35-31 or possibly upset them, beat them 35-31. And then they'll play the Lions the next week and lose 16-13. It's impressive.
No, I mean,
they actually beat the Packers last year, and they also lost to the Lions last year.
I mean, that's what you're hoping. If they get a new head coach, they'll stop being inconsistent. They'll just be purely bad this time.
Steelers are number 21.
Yeah.
Don't have much to say about them. Except I know I said this to you guys before. I don't think Mike Tomlin's like a really good coach. Years ago, Terry Bradshaw called him a cheerleader, and I think he's that because if he had any semblance of being like an actual head coach, he would have put an end to all the egos running rampant in the locker room. Instead, it seems like he just encourages it. And that's when you have like Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell just doing their nonsense.
And even Ben Roethlisberger calling people out constantly on like interviews for some reason.
If Bill Belichick was there, you wouldn't hear a peep from those idiots.
Yeah.
You gotta run a tight ship.
Cleveland Browns are 14th. They were ranked number 14 before. Or no, they're 22nd. They're ranked number 14 before. We got our boy Brissett playing. He's going to start for Deshaun Weinstein.
I have the highest completion percentage.
Yeah.
For like the lowest. Yeah, he'll complete like 20 passes.
So he'll be 30 for 35, 120 yards. Panthers are 23rd, and Baker's the starter. Hey, we forgot about to mention Baker. He's on the Panthers now. Sam Darnold injured himself.
I mean, that's even if he was healthy, I can't imagine starting. Not only did you trade for Baker, but like just after how badly Sam Darnold played last year, would you really like if you're the head coach, your job was on the line, and you just got Baker? Would you really go with Sam Darnold? Like even if Baker was playing badly,
Baker isn't terrible. He played injured last year, which hurt his stock.
I think Baker is transitioning to a similar system where he can do good. Listen, he's very good on play action. So, or that's where he does his best. I mean, unfortunately the Browns for some reason it was like their car had a flat tire, and instead of stopping the car or stop driving, they kept driving it. Like he was injured. I don't know why they kept making him throw it so many times. When especially Nick Chubb.
like I said, I don't think Baker's a bad quarterback. I just think Sam Darnold is god awful. The fact he's still in the league surprises me.
I think Baker, if he ever hits his peak, or I think his peak will look something similar to Ryan Tannehill at best. Like they're very good on play action. They have a very solid offense around them, a defense that can bail them out. But
let's get to the last couple teams then. These are teams that no one really cares about. Seattle 24. Yeah, Gino. Jets are 25th.
I just want to stop. Like people are trying to be really high in the Jets this year as like some sleeper team, and I want to know like what meth are you taking, or like what hallucinogen are you taking to think the Jets are a real playoff contender?
I think this is before
Wilson got hurt.
Yeah.
I mean, even before that, like people were still saying the Jets were like a potential sleeper. I'm like, what are you on? And then the AFC, no way. I think you're on something.
And the AFC
Jets
East.
Also, yeah, their division isn't a joke anymore.
Yeah, it's fitting after that parasite leaves.
Yeah, you don't have the Three Stooges anymore running around. The Bills are a contender.
The Three Stooges followed him into the NFC South.
Patriots are still a tough team, and the Dolphins you got to show up for too.
So, yeah, this isn't like the 2010 season where the Jets were kind of good, the Patriots, and we don't know what the Bills and Dolphins are doing. Times have changed. Giants are 26. No comment, Craig?
I mean, everyone's like gunning for Daniel Jones's head, despite the fact that he's been giving such an awful hand. Like, I people are trying to say, like, oh, he's a bust. I'm like, I don't think you can really say that yet. He's had Jason Garrett and like Pat Shurmur as like his play callers. I think you should cut the guy a little slack.
Also, their O line has just been horrible.
Their O line's a subway turnstile.
I mean, yeah, no quarterback would succeed under that offensive line, but it's always his fault.
Because even Eli, like his last couple of years, he was getting beaten up too.
Like last 8 years when they won the Super Bowl, he's still like getting beaten up.
Yeah, their offensive line's been horrible for like over a decade. Because I've heard like commentators saying Giants fans should stop. Yeah, I'm a Giants fan. Giants fans should stop complaining about the offense. I'm like, I will keep complaining about it because they haven't fixed it. Yeah. I've got no hope though, so they probably haven't fixed it.
Lions are 27th. No one cares about them really.
I just don't know
Dan Campbell.
I don't know how you put the Jets over the Lions.
The Lions were competitive last year. They were competitive.
Their record was deceiving. There were a couple. I mean, they lost on a 66-yard field goal.
67.
Yeah, the record.
67. Yeah, they got the record broken against them.
I just feel bad for them.
They tied with the Steelers.
They're gonna bite kneecaps, Morrissey, Dan Campbell.
The Commanders are 28th. And
yeah, I mean, I have not much hope for them.
Yeah.
They have the most moral integrity. They even find their own coordinators.
Right? Yes. They have the NFL scapegoat at Carson Wentz.
Yeah, they'll blame everything on him. The stadium's falling apart. It's Wentz's fault. Houston Texans are 29th. And for them, good for them. The Jaguars are 30th.
Oh, we forgot to talk about Urban Meyer.
Oh yeah, no one cares about him.
Oh, that was a hilarious train wreck. I'll leave it at that.
The Falcons are 31st, and hey, Bears are 32nd. And I think the Bears are such a disaster team Everyone's making excuses for Justin Fields, but even when he did play last year, granted you have Nagy for you, right? He still didn't play well.
I don't know. Like, I understand trying to give rookies time. Like, I'm usually a little more. I don't know. I try to give them time to prove themselves. Some people just they want to immediately jump on saying, "Oh, he's good, he's bad, he's the future, he's going to be Hall of Famer, or he's a bust." Like within a few games, like can you just let these guys have time? Like
you gotta at least give them 3 seasons to even like resemble like full development.
well, it's like you look back and like a lot of players, they could be good, but they get screwed because they get like coaches who are insanely stupid and incompetent, like run schemes that like actively harm them. Not that yeah. Not that we're
But
getting
look
into
at
that,
but look at like someone like RG3. Everyone was calling him a generational talent because he caught everyone off guard his rookie year, and then teams made him stay in the pocket, and his knee buckled under him. Screws over.
yeah, I mean that's what I'm saying. Like people are so quick to make these rash judgments. I don't know if like they want to feel like they were the first to say it. Like I'd rather be right than the first person to say it, but that's
It's
just
also
me.
no. My favorite thing is that the new term for all the young quarterbacks or whenever the NFL gets excited, generational talent. Yeah, he's out in 5 years. He was real. He was a real inspiration. God.
All right, so to end this video, let's talk about predictions and playoff predictions and whatnot. That's always fun to do.
Is it?
I mean, not really, but whatever.
Maybe it still is.
Okay.
I want to do.
Which division do you want to do first, Craig?
Well, let's do the AFC West.
Okay. Daring, aren't we today? I think the Chiefs are probably going to win that division. I have no faith in the Raiders or the Chargers because they'll probably do something stupid to screw themselves over by the end of the season. Would you guys concur?
I kind of agree with that too. I think you're probably going to get maybe one team, two max from that division, just because they still have to play each other, and they're going to be killing each other in the divisional games.
I think also the Chiefs, since they're established and everything, they've been they've been to a couple Super Bowls. They have Andy Reid. They still have like Mahomes and stuff. Like they should take that division. I think the Raiders and the Chargers they're going to get in their own way. And
I mean, I feel like if any team were to throw them, it'd be the Chargers, but I don't think they'll throw them.
I think it'll probably be the Chiefs and Broncos that get in.
Oh,
yeah, I could see that. But where do you think the Chiefs end up? Like fourth?
They might be the 2 or 3 seed.
Because again, that division you can't get a 1 seed from that division.
I'm gonna say the Bills are gonna be the 1 seed in the AFC.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Unless Josh Allen gets hurt, they should.
Well, that's like with any star quarterback on a team. I think the Bills will be the 1 seed. Patriots, I think, might sneak in. I think the Dolphins will just miss the playoffs.
Yeah, because I want to see for both my dad conferences, I'm predicting pretty much the same playoff teams as the year before. Just for like, I don't think the Raiders are getting in. I don't think the only team from the AFC West I think is going to get in is the Chiefs.
I think this might be a bold take. I think the Ravens will win their division.
I mean, isn't that bold? I mean, they were.
Well, everyone's high. Everyone's high on the Bengals now.
I mean, I think they'll make the playoffs. The Bengals, like I think you're going to get. I think
both of them make it, but the Browns, their season's basically done.
Yeah, I mean, Jacoby Brissett.
And the Steelers, who knows? Either if they have Mitch in there, if they have a rookie, there's growing pains there too. So,
I think the Steelers would be competitive, like with Roethlisberger, but I don't see them making the playoffs.
Yeah, maybe they get like 7 wins. You got to show up to play them, kind of deal.
Yeah.
So I think the Ravens will be. Oh, do I want to be bold or do I want to be safe?
Are you going to say the Ravens are going to take the 2 spot?
Maybe. I think the Ravens are the 2 or 3rd seed. I want to say the 2nd seed because I could just see the Ravens like. Listen, I'm not a Ravens fan, but they're a good team. When they have Lamar, they can be a good team. I'll put them at the 3rd seed. I'll put Kansas City too.
I think KC is going to take the 3rd. And I think the winner of the Colts division is going to take the 4th.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
which I think the Colts. I think this is the year the Colts they dethrone the Titans. I think maybe you find them at like 11-6.
Yeah, 11-6 is probably real.
Yeah, no, I think you find them around there. I think So, and then I think the Colts and Titans both get in. I think the Colts edge the Titans out for the division, but I think the Titans should be they should still be a wild card, a playoff team regardless.
So the 1 seed is the Bills. 2 seed, who do you guys think the 2 seed is?
I would say more the Ravens and the Chiefs because again, I think the AFC West is too tough to be that good.
Yeah. I can I can see the Ravens. It's not like they would come out of nowhere just because last year they got ravaged. They can bounce back.
They did pretty well until like it really caught up to them, their injuries.
Again, that was like the last. I think they went like 0-4 their last 4 games.
Yeah. So the Bills, Ravens, Chiefs, Colts.
Yeah, and then who would be the remaining 3 teams?
I think the Titans get in. I think the Patriots get in.
I think Denver gets in.
I would agree with those two, the Patriots and the Titans. But only instead of the Broncos for you, I think it's going to be the Bengals.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the Bengals. Yeah, they'll get in.
The Bengals.
Yeah, I'll put them over Denver then. Because the AFC, it's very tricky. It's not as concrete as the NFC.
Yeah, we could be wrong, and like I'm not going to be mad. Like the AFC is
the AFC is super competitive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, injuries have yet to kick in for teams and stuff. So, yeah.
All right. I think for the NFC, I think the Cowboys are probably going to win the division. Not that
and
much
the
of a
conference.
competition. Yeah, they're gonna. Well, yeah, I said their
And
division.
The
okay, yeah, take it easy there.
It's our year.
I don't know where to put the Packers. I want to say they're not going to be the 1 seed. I feel like.
No way.
I want to see how they adjust without Devonta Adams because I trust Rodgers. I believe in him.
I think
I
Packers.
Trust Rodgers. I just don't trust any of the receivers.
Yeah.
I think Packers can get the 3rd seed.
I think the Bucks will get the 1 seed, unfortunately.
Yeah, look at their division. That's so they'll probably get swept by the Saints again, but they beat up on the other 2 stooges.
Yeah, it'll be the Bucks, Rams, Packers, Cowboys. Those are your 4.
I think the Rams take the conference.
You think so? Yeah, you might be right.
They didn't lose anyone. They didn't get worse, and they're gonna have to play the Bucks.
Yeah, but it's always like those mind tricks that every team has. It's like a spell. Every team that plays against the Bucks or against Tom Brady, and we've seen it for the past 20 years, they just don't know what to do. We forgot to mention real quick because we're running out of time. In the playoffs, the Rams are up 27-3 and they almost blew it. They were shooting themselves in the foot. They were doing everything
comically shooting themselves.
They were doing everything in their power to lose the game.
Like 5 minutes ago, your center hilariously snaps it over Stafford's head like he's a
cue the clown music when that was all happening.
And Cam Akers fumbling twice inside the 5-yard line. How does that happen?
And then we see the headlines. Oh, Tom Brady unbeatable, almost came back. It's like, no, they were doing everything in their power to lose. Maybe I'll put the Rams at 1, and then the Bucks will be 2. Packers
the
3.
only thing I would put maybe the Bucks over the Rams just because Stafford hurt his arm. And it looks like it's going to be a season-long injury, so I feel like that could cost them a game or 2.
Yeah, you're probably right.
I mean, I don't know how serious. Maybe they're exaggerating the injury, but they're saying like he hurt his elbow. Like, I don't think he's practiced much at all because they're monitoring the elbow.
Yeah, well, yeah, because the thing, like you're saying with the Bucks, the division is just so bad, and the Cardinals are, they're
Cardinals are going to get in. They'll be like the 5th seed.
Yeah, they're a fringe playoff team. The Niners, you got to show up against. The Niners always give the Rams trouble, too.
I just don't see anyone else. The Eagles might get in.
I think the Eagles will get in.
I think the Eagles will take a wild card.
They'll probably be the 7th seed again.
Yeah, they'll probably 10-7.
I think the NFC playoff picture will be identical to what it was last year.
Yeah,
or maybe the Vikings get in, but that's
like the 7th seed will switch, but you'll have like the Cardinals will probably get in. The Niners probably will. But I think it's pretty concrete with the who's winning the division and where they are. I think the Bucks. It's debatable between the Bucks and Rams, but Cowboys will be fourth. Packers will be third, and those are your division winners. Should we be daring and try to do a Super Bowl prediction?
If you want, I mean,
I don't know because what's realistic, what my heart wants are two different things.
I think Bills finally get over the hump. I think they beat the Chiefs in the playoffs in the championship game to go to the Super Bowl.
I could see the Bills in the Super Bowl, and I'd be rooting for the Bills. Honestly, they suffered
as long as they're not playing the Giants
or the whole NFC East team.
NFC.
Yeah, they play the Eagles. Complete the sweep by the NFC East.
Well,
maybe the Rams go back. I don't know.
I mean, I can see the Rams going back. But,
again. My heart, I really want to say Bills Rams, but I also don't want to just take it at face value and just be like, top two teams. But is there anyone really in the Rams' way to get back? They beat the Bucks last year, and they really, realistically, they should have beaten them down, until the NFL wanted the game to be competitive. But
I mean, hopefully it won't be in Tampa this time. So
I would love to see a Bills Packers Super Bowl, but I don't think that would ever happen because, yes, Rodgers didn't play well in the divisional round, but that team got screwed over. Like they shot themselves in the foot.
Well, yeah, it's Rodgers' fault that they gave up like 10 points.
Perhaps this is actually what can get Rodgers to the second Super Bowl is that he doesn't have to be the hero.
Ah,
yeah, it's possible.
They went on sound defense and running the ball.
I'd be happy if the Packers make it and win.
Packers Bills.
Yeah, that'd be cool. I mean, I really wouldn't care who would win, but at that point, I'd probably be rooting for the Packers more than the Bills. If that was the case, I would be rooting for Rodgers.
I mean, I might root for the Bills just because
of all those NFC teams, I want the Packers.
Yeah, I would be rolling in my. I would hate myself if the Bucks and Rams make it, because it would probably feel sleazy if the Rams make it, but it's just if Brady makes it again, like no one would shut up.
Where's the Super Bowl being held? Because the home team has to make it for the third straight year.
It's in Arizona.
Again?
Kyler got his big contract, might get his big ring.
He's going to be studying so hard.
They actually have to win a game in December, so I think we're okay.
Studying when the refs are going to throw the flags for him.
But my prediction will probably be very wrong. Bills and Packers. Probably way off, but who knows? So are all the other predictions.
I'm more confident in playoff predictions than because Super Bowl. It's like whoever gets hot at the right time. Like playoff, it's like you got a pretty good idea who's going to make the playoffs. I mean, maybe like the 7 or 6 seed is different. But
I think if we're just going to throw in a prediction, I think Bills Rams.
Bills Rams. That'll be a good Super Bowl. I'd be rooting for the Bills.
An even more specific take, I would say Packers meet the Rams in the divisional round, and even though I'm saying the Rams are going to make the Super Bowl, I think realistically the winner of that game in the divisional round will go on to the Super Bowl. And I think the Bills will beat the Chiefs in the championship to get to the Super Bowl because they've lost them 2 times in the playoffs. So I think this will be the year they get over the hump.
Take the monkey off my back.
I think that's a good prediction. Yeah, as Craig said, we're more confident in the playoff teams.
Yeah.
The Super Bowl is too unpredictable.
Who knows? It could be Giants Jets, the Battle of New York.
Oh my god!
They play in New Jersey.
Yeah. 2 New York teams fighting for the title of New York in New Jersey.
Oh god, could you imagine? I think the whole nation might commit suicide because that's like the worst matchup ever.
Yeah, could you imagine all like the missed throws in that game?
Could you imagine? Like, yeah, no quarterback can clean a pass because neither quarterback, their offensive line can't protect them. So just like miss throw after miss throw.
Well, it would be Daniel Jones versus the Jets' backup because Zach Wilson would hurt himself.
It'd be Daniel Jones versus Flacco, and Flacco returns to Super Bowl form as he did in 2012. It's been 10 years.
Oh God!
He was
watch out.
I think we're running a little bit short on time, but any final thoughts in this NFL 2022 season preview? Any final thoughts?
I was just going to say, any of our now 17 subscribers, feel free to comment what your predictions are.
Like anyone watches.
Or don't.
Feel free to
we don't care if you don't or do or don't.
Feel free to argue with Craig.
Craig, any final thoughts? 10 seconds. Pressure.
No, I'm good.
Yeah, it's been the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. I'm Colin.
I'm Craig.
And I'm Joe Buck.